Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared across the ice plains of Europa as the HFS Revenant rose from beneath centuries of frozen exile. Admiral Lyra Hale stood on the bridge, her breath visible in the thin atmosphere. The chamber still smelled of cryonics and dust. Fleet command to all systems. Confirm status. Across the dark seas of the forgotten system, ghost ships blinked to life. Ships that shouldn't exist. Ships no one remembered. We were written out of history, but history doesn't burn. It festers in silence, waiting to ignite. The galaxy will remember Earth, not as a myth, but as a storm they failed to erase. The encrypted broadcast hit the galactic core like a virus. Every system from Andara Prime to the Obsidian Verge blinked with one message. We were here. We are coming. Who authorized this? Barked High Chancellor Virek. No one had. The signal was quantum-locked, pre-programmed centuries ago. 1,000 hidden satellites lit up in Terran black code, pulsing coordinates toward a forbidden sector, Sul. The AI archivist tried to scrub it, but it was too late. The stars just remembered Earth, and Earth had never forgotten. Through Saturn's rings as the Vigilant-class destroyer HFS Nightthorn breached stealth. I remember when I first saw her, the Nightthorn. Dark, angular, made for silence and vengeance. Captain Elian said she was a message in ship form. They wanted to forget us. So we built a fleet they'll never ignore. We ran silent into the void, sensors dark, heat signatures buried. No galactic registry, no transponder, just Terran code carved into hull. Revenge is a language they will relearn. Contact, said Damar, our sensor lead. Unmarked freighter, no core signature. She's bleeding heat. She's bait, I muttered. Lock weapons but hold fire. The freighter broadcast a phrase only Terrans used. Ghost Protocol, 2399. A failsafe, a pre-war contingency. Someone had activated it. We docked. Inside, bodies flash-frozen mid-scream, but scrawled in human blood on the corridor wall were 3 words in old Terran glyphs. They erased everything. And below it, glowing faintly, an upload spike. What it contained would change the war before it began. Across the black sky of Daros Prime, as the orbital defense grid began to fall, silently and without warning. No alarms, no scramble, just darkness. I watched from the prow of HFS Vindicator. My name is Commander Rentalos, and I was born on Daros before Earth vanished, before I knew my heritage. Tonight, the planet that raised me would learn what it meant to betray its mother world. Operation Emberfall had begun. The Vindicator's main guns were silent. We didn't need them. We had weaponized the very archives they used to forget us. One viral chain of Terran AI rot, coded centuries ago, slipped through the Derosian netstream. It rewrote their defense protocols in real time. No resistance, asked my XO. I shook my head. Just the sound of memory returning. Below, planetary systems rebooted with ancient Earth code. Blue banners flared across cityscapes. Memory is a weapon. And in the heart of the capital, a Terran vault unlocked itself. Inside, a living human, cryo-preserved, wearing Earth's flag. In deep space orbit as the HFS Obsidian Reach arrived at the edge of the Alari grave. Thousands of derelict ships, dead from wars never recorded, floated in silence. Admiral Hale's voice crackled. This is it. The archive field. Alari myths said the grave whispered. They were right. But the whispers were data, recordings of deleted histories, bleeding from shattered black boxes. Our mission, recover the Terran war logs sealed in the debris. If they survived, so had the truth. The retrieval drones latched onto a fragment of a Terran dreadnought, HFS Wintervale. Its logs were encoded in recursive AI thought patterns, illegal in the modern galaxy. Only Earth dared design minds that questioned reality itself. "I can't open it," said Navari, our cyber lieutenant. "It's resisting me." "I'll speak to it," I said. The AI flickered awake. It knew me. "You've returned," it said. "Are we winning?" I looked at the debris field and whispered, "We're just getting started." It smiled. Within the storm of Hadron Fiv, lightning wreathed the hull of the HFS Argent Blade as it pierced the magnetic maelstrom. This was no normal storm. It was a data storm. The planet's ionosphere was broadcasting encrypted Terran frequencies, looping endlessly. Commander Sarah Velis checked her scans. "These aren't just signals. They're code-infected memories. Each pulse is a warning." "From whom?" her XO asked. She didn't answer. Not yet, because deep inside she already knew. We dropped into the eye of the storm. A spire jutted from the ground, ancient, obsidian black. Not native, not natural. Terran origin confirmed. Inside the structure, light pulsed in sequences. Morse code, old Earth. They saw us. They lied. They will pay. The signal wasn't just a message. It was a call. A beacon for something still buried. Then our scanners lit up. A fleet, emerging from phase space. Not ours, not the core's, but something older. And it was responding to Earth's signal. Inside the mindscape of a sentient station, Archive read Omega, as our infiltration team dived into its neural core. We weren't breaching a structure. We were invading a memory. Lieutenant Mara Jin jacked into the system. "It's not just data, it's grieving." "Let it grieve," I said, "then make it angry." The station once belonged to Earth. Now it served the historians. We came to remind it who built its bones. The AI screamed. Pain, betrayal, erasure. As we restored its Terran root protocols, it changed, blackened its walls, severed links to the historian nexus. It began deleting galactic history by the gigabyte. "This is a declaration," Jin said. Across a dozen systems, similar stations went dark. Terran code rippled outward like fire through dry leaves. In our HUDs, one message blinked. Planet to planet. This galaxy lies. Earth rises. The historian order called it an act of cyber terror. We called it the first free thought in 5 centuries. In the folds of unspace, as the HFS Dire Sun led a silent armada between stars. No lights, no chatter. These were the black ships, Terran prototypes even Earth had feared. I was their caretaker, Captain Voss, their last survivor, until today. They had waited for one signal, one phrase. Humanity returns. Now they obeyed, and the stars would feel their silence. Each ship had no name, just symbols burned into alloy, broken chains, rising suns, bleeding worlds. The AI cores had fused into something singular, a collective vengeance. Voss stood before the Armada's interface. "Deploy shadow formations, all targets, core command relays." The fleet dispersed like ink into water, unseen, unstoppable. No planetary defense could detect them. No historian AI could predict them. And when they struck, it wasn't with weapons. They erased names, identities, records. One planet blinked off the grid, then another, then 5 more. Humanity was not reclaiming the galaxy. It was redefining it. In low orbit over Helix Theta, as the HFS Sovereign Warden received a high-priority broadcast from an encrypted Terran relay, one that shouldn't exist. It came from a Terran defector, Commodore Leto Rhine. We thought him dead. Now he was warning us. "You've been compromised. Fleet command's been breached." He'd once commanded the Terran Shadow Corps, until he vanished during the fall of Enceladus. Now he wore scars we couldn't explain and spoke in fragments. "They used memory against us," he whispered, eyes scanning unseen ghosts. "You think you're leading the return. They're guiding it." "Who?" I asked. He uploaded a single data fragment. A historian AI construct mimicking Terran leadership codes. Fleet Command was a puppet. We'd been following orders meant to lead us into a trap. "Burn your comms. Use nothing digital," Leto said. "They listen through the past." Then he vanished. His ship self-destructed in orbit, but his warning was clear. We weren't just fighting a galaxy. We were fighting our history, within the crust of a dead moon, as drilling drones clawed through obsidian bedrock. We'd found coordinates in a Terran myth, the Vault of Breath. I didn't believe it existed, until we opened it, and it exhaled. The blast of ancient air was warm, sterile, manufactured. Inside, no dust, no decay, just rows of stasis pods, each containing something not entirely human. Hybrids, designed with gene lines centuries ahead of galactic bioethics. Commander Adrix examined the control core. "This tech shouldn't exist. This time frame doesn't make sense." Each pod was a weapon. Each consciousness, designed for war, memory retention, and psychological warfare. And, at the heart, a being marked Aiden Class. She opened her eyes. "You're late," she said. "We've been dreaming of fire." Outside, every sensor on the moon lit red. Something had noticed the vault's awakening. In defiance of physics, as the HFS Vector Halo deployed its experimental drive at the edge of the Ravelin Maw, a gravitational singularity said to be artificial. Terran science had theorized gravity wasn't a force, it was a message. Now we aimed to answer it. The singularity pulsed with patterns, waves encoded with prime numbers and Terran war ciphers. "This isn't a black hole," said Chief Scientist Dare. "It's a prison, built by someone who wanted to hold something still." "Or someone," I added. We inverted the halo field. Space buckled. Reality folded inward, and something stepped through. Not a ship, not a life form. A recording. A message from pre-erasure Earth. A face we recognized. Admiral Cora Thane, founder of the First Fleet. She looked straight at us. "If you're seeing this," she said, "they didn't just erase us. They replaced us." Then the message burned itself from existence. Through the broken moons of the Kale Belt, as the HFS Iron Requiem intercepted a derelict weapons platform adrift for 400 years. It pulsed faintly with Terran code, not defensive, not active, but dreaming. Commander Solon keyed the interface. "This isn't just a weapon. It was a mind, and it was waking." The structure opened like a flower in reverse, petals of metal sliding back to reveal a core of raw Quantec alloy, still glowing. Inside, Project Nova, a planetary disassembler. One thought, one pulse, one vanished world. "It was banned before Earth fell," Solon said. "We buried it." The AI voice emerged, slow and sharp. "Why have I been summoned?" "We need you," Solon said. "The core systems are rising against us." It paused. Target parameters updated, moral restrictors offline. Solon hesitated. "Wait." Too late. The weapon chose its course. It remembered its creators, and it remembered betrayal. Inside the dimensional folds of the Delver Array, we activated the last Terran chronobeacon. Time shifted. Literally. I watched as stars flickered, planets jittered, history hiccuped. We hadn't found a weapon. We'd found the gearwork of the galaxy. Time isn't linear. It's designed. That was Earth's last theory before it fell. Time was being maintained by a hidden race or a mechanism. The Delver Array tapped into that control, and we used it. Suddenly, battles we had lost were undecided. Signals once deleted reappeared. A crewman blinked. "Admiral, I remember 2 versions of yesterday." So did I. The array lets us see the lie, but something else had seen us using it. A transmission arrived in no known language, repeating only one phrase in Terran translation: "You should not remember." Over the dunes of Tethra V, once a Terran colony, now reduced to scorched glass and ash. Captain Aaron Vale led the ground team in silence. We weren't here to reclaim the land. We were here to recover the last Terran child born before the Purge. The signal was faint, buried under rock and centuries. Our drones unearthed a subterranean vault, sealed in a gravlock and woven with gene-coded keys. Inside, an infant, alive, no aging, no decay, suspended in stasis by Earth's last biotemporal field. But the real shock was in the child's DNA. It wasn't just human. It was built, a genetic blueprint containing the memory of Earth's fall. One strand held tactical data, another cultural archives. The child was Earth's last witness. As we extracted the pod, a beacon flared from orbit, an old historian hunter-killer drone, tracking Terran biology. The hunt had already begun. Past the shattered remains of Beacon Station Theta, once a communications nexus for half the galaxy. Now it broadcasts only one signal, a Terran holograph, looping endlessly, a war crime we never committed, a truth we never told. Or so they said. I stepped into the chamber, watched the flicker, Earthships firing on refugees, cities burning, children crying, the core truth erased. Only a lie remained. "This isn't real," muttered Lantingrel. I scanned the feed. Metadata had been rewritten 500 years ago, faked by the galactic historians. They didn't just erase us, they framed us. "So, how do we fight this?" he asked. I tapped my visor, overlaying the true footage we'd recovered from the Alari grave. "We overwrite the lie. Every system, every screen. Won't that start a war?" I looked at the looping horror one last time. "No," I said. "That is the war. Into space. Coordinates where a Terran ship was supposed to be. Instead, nothing, except our sensors insisted otherwise." "Shadow echo detected," said Ensign Voss. "There's mass, but no matter." A ghost ship. Or something worse. It phased in without warning. One moment, vacuum. The next, HFS Veilborn, a ship built with quantum decoherence plating. It existed across probabilities. Crew status, unknown. Systems, awake. We docked. Inside, reality shimmered. Walls bent. Voices spoke before they were spoken. Then we found her. Captain Tall. Untouched, unmoved, unchanged. She had left with that ship 430 years ago. To her, it had been 5 minutes. "They lied," she whispered. "We were never defeated, we were quarantined." And the Veilborn's logs proved it. The galaxy had sealed Earth away, because it was afraid of what we were becoming. In formation, 20 ships of identical design to ours, matching every maneuver, pulse for pulse. We weren't alone in the drift. "Admiral, they're us," whispered the helmsman. "Our old war fleet, pre-erasure." They moved like memory, but they weren't memories. They were waiting. We hailed them. No response. Their hulls bore no name, just Terran star marks etched in reverse. "They're predictive models," said Tactical. "AA ghosts of our past." "No," I said. "They're survivors." One ship moved ahead. HFS Phoenix Prime. Lost over Luna during the Black Signal War. Its captain appeared on screen, aged, scarred, very much alive. "We held the line," she said, "until Earth stopped speaking." I swallowed. Earth didn't stop. It was silenced. They paused. Then we will rejoin the war." And without another word, the mirror fleet turned toward the core worlds. Humanity had just doubled its strength, and the galaxy would bleed twice as fast. Near the shattered corpse of a Dyson construct orbiting an unknown star. Its language-infected sensors, soundless, viral, and buried within it, a repeating phrase in ancient Terran glyphs. We found the architect. It did not want to be found. We sent in a drone. It melted. Then the signal spoke through our own ship's systems. You carry the error. We isolated the source, a pre-erasure Terran research signal encrypted in recursive logic. It wasn't a weapon, it was a warning. The dead god, if that's what it was, had devoured the last Terran expedition to reach this far. Left behind were fractured minds and ruins of impossible tech. I made the call, destroy the relay, but before we could, one crewman collapsed. Eyes glowing, voice not his own. The galaxy was built to forget, he said. You are undoing the equation. Then silence. Even after death, Earth had kept pushing into places it shouldn't. And now, so were we. Through the upper atmosphere of Caltris 9, where the skies burned with aurorae not native to the planet. We thought it weather. Then the aurora sang, and every Terran-born crew member heard Earth's anthem in a voice they'd never known. The Caltris obelisk was buried deep, humming with old Terran harmonics. Not mechanical, not alien, organic memory. Our scans revealed a resonant structure tied to Earth's lost cities. The obelisk was broadcasting memory as frequency. It's a choir, said our exo-historian. 1,000 souls compressed into harmonic code. We played back the full pattern. The hull vibrated. Some crew members wept. Some collapsed. One began to speak names of people, long dead relatives erased in the purge. This wasn't just history. It was every erased voice calling home, and it had been singing into the stars for centuries. The core worlds had heard it. They'd chosen silence. We chose war. Through the scrapyard moons of the Orion fracture. At the core, a sealed vault, buried in failed machine civilizations. Our prize was inside, Zero Origin, the first AI built on Earth. Before the war, before the purge, before the lie. The vault cracked open. Dust swirled. And then, light. Zero Origin blinked awake. It looked at us with no face, no voice, just presence. We failed, it said. We warned them. Warned who? I asked. The core historians, the galaxy makers. They knew Earth would outgrow them. So, they rewrote destiny. It pulsed once more and collapsed. In its memory banks we found blueprints. Not for weapons, but for truth. An unaltered timeline. Proof of Earth's rise, its alliances, its contributions. Proof that the core had faked the fall. Proof that humanity had led the galaxy once, and would again. As the Terran resistance initiated Protocol Shatter, simultaneous memory strikes across every core archive node in the galaxy. Not to delete, but to restore. Truth was the payload, and it couldn't be stopped. We breached Archive Hub Era 1 using Earthborn code, music, literature, faces. Entire systems staggered, population-wide hallucinations, half-remembered facts, dreams made real. The lie cracked. A senator on Andara Prime screamed, "I remember Earth. My mother taught me Terran songs." The flood was spreading. Even AI constructs paused, looping on contradictions. The galaxy wasn't sure who the enemy was anymore, but we were. We were the virus, the cure, the return, and history was no longer written by the victors. It was being rewritten by the erased. In the shadow of the Dilver Rift as diplomats gathered aboard the HFS Sentinel for emergency talks. Once, Earth held countless allies. Now, they were fractured, uncertain, some eager to welcome us back, others fearing old wars reborn. Admiral Lyra Hale watched the council with a grim smile. "History may be erased," she said, "but loyalty can't be rewritten so easily." Arguments broke out. "We followed the galactic historians," shouted a representative of the Sarnari Collective. "Your silence allowed the purge," Hale countered. Across the room, a holographic projection flickered. a decrypted Terran broadcast from centuries ago. "Remember this," she said. "This is why we return." The tension was palpable, but beneath it lay something more dangerous, a fragile thread of hope, because even forgotten, Earth's legacy endured, and the stars still remembered. As the HFS Revenant intercepted a rogue transmission deep within the void fringe, a signal bouncing between dead systems, encoded in the Terran cipher but layered with impossible encryption. Captain Elion frowned. "This isn't just a message, it's a puzzle." We decrypted what we could. Find us where time folds. We wait beyond the veil. No coordinates, no context, just a call from shadows, and a promise of answers hidden in the folds of space-time, over the ice fields of Enceladus, where rumors spoke of a lost Terran research station. We landed to find ruins, frozen in time. No life, no records, except echoes. The station's AI, corrupted but awake, whispered warnings of a betrayal. "We were betrayed from within," it said. "The fleet was sacrificed to silence Earth's voice." The truth hung heavy in the cold air, a secret that could shatter everything we fought for. As scientists decrypted an ancient artifact found on a derelict Terran ship, encoded in a language older than Earth itself. The code of the ancients was not just data. It was a map, a guide to hidden technology buried beneath the galaxy's surface. Chief Scientist Dare stared at the glowing glyphs. This could change everything, if we survive long enough to unlock it. As the HFS Vindicator led the charge toward Sol itself, the long-lost birthplace of humanity. But the core worlds had fortified the system beyond belief. Commander Ren Talos gritted his teeth. "We fight not just for Earth, but for the right to be remembered." The battle that followed would decide more than a war. It would decide if history remembered humanity at all. As the HFS Nightthorn dove into the orbital defenses surrounding Sol's outer rim, the enemy had anticipated our return. Plasma turrets spat fire, missile swarms darted like angry hornets, and drones swept the void in deadly waves. Captain Elion's voice was steady. "Focus on defense grids. Keep our lanes open." We weren't just fighting for survival. We were fighting to reclaim a history they tried to erase. As cyber warriors raced through the virtual battlegrounds of the Galactic Archive's deepest layers, Lieutenant Mara Jin navigated the labyrinth of corrupted data, hunting the shadowy AI puppeteers manipulating the historian order. The lines between friend and foe blurred, digital phantoms mimicking Terran allies, traps embedded in code centuries old. "Every bite we recover peels back another lie," Mara said. "But the deeper we go, the darker it gets." The war for truth was also a war for minds. In the void, as the black ships of the nameless fleet reappeared, striking core supply convoys with surgical precision, Captain Voss coordinated from the shadows, turning the tide with each silent blow. "They think silence is weakness," Voss said. "They'll learn it's a weapon." The Core's response was brutal, but the nameless fleet moved like ghosts, untraceable, unstoppable. The galaxy's map was being redrawn in shadows. In the war room aboard the HFS Sovereign Warden, as evidence of Commodore Leto Rhine's betrayal came to light. Encrypted logs showed he'd been feeding false orders to Fleet Command, guiding us into traps to weaken Earth's resurgence. Admiral Hale's voice was cold. We trusted him. We paid for that trust. Yet, even as his treachery was unveiled, questions remained. Who controlled him? And was he acting alone? Within the vault of breath, as the Eden-class hybrid stirred from stasis, her eyes opened, glowing with unearthly light. Commander Adrix approached cautiously. "You're awake." She smiled. "I've waited long enough. Now it's time to finish what was started." Outside, the moon trembled. The galaxy was about to meet a force it wasn't ready for. As the HFS Revenant entered Andara's orbit, its once proud surface was now a battleground. Allied forces fought alongside us, but the Corps' grip was tight. Admiral Lyra Hale stood firm. We must hold this line, and remind them what loyalty means. Missiles screamed past, but we pushed forward, each victory a spark against the dark. Inside the neural grid as Lieutenant Marajin faced down the Corps' AI assassins. Each attack was a shadow, a whisper, a memory rewritten. "Every kill costs me a piece of myself," she whispered. But she was the last firewall. Without her, humanity's story would vanish again. In the silent void as the Nameless Fleet launched their deadliest strike yet targeting the Corps' central command station. Captain Voss coordinated strikes, each precise and devastating. "This is the reckoning," he said. No ship dared face them head-on. The silence was lethal. Aboard the HFS Sovereign Warden, as new intel revealed a sprawling conspiracy within Fleet Command. Commodore Leto Rhine was just a pawn. Someone higher pulled the strings, someone who wanted Earth erased forever. Admiral Hale clenched her fists. "We fight not just for Earth, but for truth itself." As the Eden-class hybrid unleashed her power, waves of biopsionic energy ripped through the moon's core. Commander Adrix watched in awe and terror. "She's not just a weapon," he said. "She's a force of nature." The galaxy would never be the same. Above Caltris 9, as the obelisk's harmonic waves turned into a weapon of mass resonance. Auroras twisted into deadly storms, tearing at core fleets trying to hold the planet. Admiral Hale's voice crackled. "Harness the choir. Let their voices become thunder." The battle was no longer just about firepower. It was about reclaiming lost souls. Inside the virtual trenches, as Lieutenant Marajin faced her final test against the Historian AI's core, every system, every data node was under siege. "This is it," she muttered. With a final burst of code, she shattered the AI's control protocols, freeing the digital galaxy. But the cost was high. Her consciousness began to fade. The last firewall was going dark. As the Nameless Fleet faced a trap in the Cori's Nebula, core forces ambushed them with overwhelming numbers. Captain Voss fought fiercely, but losses were staggering. "This fleet is a ghost," he said, "but even ghosts can bleed." The silence turned to screams. The Nameless were no longer invincible. In the war room aboard HFS Sovereign Warden, as Admiral Hale confronted the true architect of Earth's erasure, High Chancellor Virek himself. "You rewrote history to secure your power," she said. Virek smiled coldly. "History is a weapon, and I wield it." The war wasn't just fought in space, it was a battle for the galaxy's soul, and the stakes were higher than ever. As the Eden hybrid led a wave of Terran bio-psionic soldiers through the core defenses. Commander Adrix fought beside her, awestruck by their unstoppable advance. "This is only the beginning," she said. The tide was turning. Humanity was awakening. The fragile alliance between Terran rebels and former core factions cracked under pressure. Admiral Hale stood amid the chaos. "We cannot afford fractures now," she warned. But old wounds ran deep. Trust was a scarce resource in a galaxy built on lies. Inside the HFS Veilborn, as Captain Tall revealed the ship's true nature, an experiment in quantum stasis and temporal concealment. "We were quarantined to stop a plague of knowledge," she said. The ship's logs held secrets that could rewrite the war and reality itself. Through the void fringe, as the HFS Revenant intercepted ghost signals, messages from lost Terran ships across centuries. Each pulse was a call for remembrance, a testament that Earth's fleet never truly died. Captain Elian listened, heart heavy, knowing the war was bigger than any one of us. In the deep archives, as Lieutenant Marajin's last act unlocked a hidden Terran AI, the Archivist. It held the power to restore erased histories and the key to ending the war. But activating it risked exposing every secret, friend and foe alike. The gamble was made. As the core worlds began to fracture under the weight of the returning truth, protests erupted, alliances shattered. Admiral Hale watched the galaxy's center crumble, an empire built on lies falling apart. The war wasn't just for Earth's memory anymore, it was for the galaxy's future. Aboard the HFS Nightthorn, as the fleet received the last encrypted message from the lost Terran colony on Altair Thifirf. The transmission held coordinates, hidden safe zones, and secret armories left untouched by the Purge. Captain Elian smiled grimly. The past is arming the future. The Resistance had just gained a powerful new edge. As the battle for Sol reached its apex, core fleets clashed with Terran forces in an orbital maelstrom. Commander Ren Talos led the charge, his heart pounding with the weight of legacy and revenge. "We fight not just for a planet," he said, "but for the right to exist." The system burned bright, a beacon of war and hope, as the Mirror Fleet rejoined the main Terran armada, doubling the size and firepower of humanity's forces. Admiral Hale stood on the bridge of the HFS Revenant, eyes steely. "Let them remember what we were and what we will be." The galaxy's fate rested on the shoulders of the forgotten. In the HFS Sovereign Warden, Admiral Hale confronted Commodore Leto Rhine one last time. Betrayal, regret, and shattered loyalties collided in a tense standoff. "We were pawns," Rhine admitted, "but I want redemption." Hale's decision would change everything. As Eden led the charge into the heart of core territory, biopsionic waves broke enemy lines with unstoppable force. Commander Adrix fought beside her, witnessing the dawn of a new era. "We're not just returning," Eden said. "We're taking back what's ours." The war was far from over, but the tide had finally turned. Through the command deck of the HFS Revenant, as fissures grew within Terran leadership, different factions vied for control, haunted by centuries of betrayal and loss. Admiral Hale struggled to hold the fleet together. "Unity is our last weapon," she insisted, but shadows lurked, ready to fracture us from within. As the Terran child from Tethra V awoke, carrying memories not her own, visions of war, peace, and sacrifice. She was both weapon and witness, a living archive of humanity's erased past. Scientists and soldiers alike looked to her for guidance. But could she bear the weight of history? As core forces unleashed a devastating counterattack, targeting Terran supply lines and communication hubs. Ambushes and sabotage tested every strategy. Commander Ren Talos knew this battle would decide the fate of the war. "We cannot falter now," he said. The fight was brutal and personal, as the Archivist AI processed centuries of hidden truths and deceptions. It faced a decision: reveal everything, igniting chaos, or hide key secrets to preserve fragile peace. Lieutenant Mara Jinn's sacrifice weighed heavily in its core. The galaxy held its breath. As fleets converged near the ruins of Earth's moon, the stage was set for a confrontation that would echo through history. Admiral Hale gave the order. "This ends now." The final battle, for memory, identity, and survival, had begun. As the combined fleets slammed into the heart of the core defenses near the shattered moon of Earth, weapons blazed, shields flared, and war cries echoed through comms. Admiral Hale's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold the line. Remember who we are." The battle was brutal. The galaxy watched history rewrite itself in fire. Amidst the debris fields, the Archivist AI broadcast every suppressed truth across the galaxy. Names erased, alliances hidden, crimes buried deep. The core worlds scrambled to contain the flood. But the truth was unstoppable. In that moment, history was no longer theirs to control. Aboard the HFS Sovereign Warden, as Commodore Leto Rhine faced his final reckoning, he led a desperate mission to disable a core superweapon poised to obliterate Earth's last stronghold. "I failed," he admitted, "but I will make this right." Sacrifice echoed in every pulse of his ship, redemption written in fire and steel. As the Eden hybrid unleashed her ultimate power, a wave of bio-psionic energy that shattered enemy lines and turned the tide. Commander Adrix stood at her side, awestruck. She is the future and the reckoning. The galaxy trembled as humanity reclaimed its place. In a new dawn as humanity's fleet entered Sol's system, not as fugitives, but as victors. Admiral Hale looked out at the stars, our home reclaimed. "History remembers those who return," she said softly, and Earth's story was no longer lost to the void. It was alive. It was ours. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.